What is up, welcome to the channel, or if you're returning, welcome back. Today we're breaking down the most important cards that are going to be rotated out in April. So, if y'all didn't know, every year Pokemon will rotate out a few sets to keep the meta moving and allow them to change the game in ways they see fit. This year we will be losing out on all of the cards with the letter F on them unless they were reprinted. Now this includes all of the sets from Brilliant Stars to Crown Zenith, which means that we will be losing the last of the V Pokémon and all of the Radiant Pokémon. Let's go over what I believe to be are the most important cards that we're losing, and then we'll talk about what the meta might look like come April. We are losing multiple complete deck archetypes in Snorlax Stall, Regidrago, Lugia, Arceus, Palkia, and Lost Box, all of which have had huge impacts on the meta. Alright, in terms of cards, let's start with everyone's favorite draw engine, Radiant Greninja. Now, Greninja has been terrorizing the meta for quite some time, finding itself in far too many deck lists to count here, due to its ability, which allows you to discard one energy and draw 2 cards. Now, the ability alone is pretty OP. Trading 1 card for 2 will always be a good deal. However, what really put Greninja over the top was its usefulness as a spread attacker. For just 2 water and 1 colorless energy, we can hit 2 of our opponent's Pokemon for 90 damage each, which can be absolutely devastating early game. Radiant Greninja will certainly be missed. And while we're talking about him, our other useful Radiant Pokemon in Charizard, Alakazam, and Radiant Hisuian Sneasler will also be leaving. The Sneasler in particular, I'm very sad about because it will make Cloth a lot less powerful. As I mentioned before, losing all of the V Pokemon will also be incredibly impactful, especially considering Regidrago V-Star is currently the best deck in the meta, and Lugia V is still hanging in there trying to stay relevant. A few other noteworthy utility Pokemon V that we're going to be losing are Lumineon V, which is commonly used to go grab yourself a supporter. There's Rotom V, which is used in Stall and Evolution decks to draw 3 cards and then end your turn. We're losing Raikou and Raichu V, which are commonly found in Miraidon. We are losing Oranguru V, which has just recently seen use in Cloth Terapagos decks. There's Hisuian Electrode V, which obviously is also used in Cloth deck. And we're losing Entei V, which, while it's not used as commonly anymore, there was a point where this was a very popular utility card. In terms of draw engines, we are losing Bibarel, which was hugely popular as it allowed players to draw cards until they had 5 cards in hand once per turn. Gardevoir will most certainly be taking a hit, as the Kirlia that allows them to discard 1 card and draw 2 will be rotated out, forcing Guardy to get a lot more creative in terms of ways to get energies into the discard pile. In terms of bench protection, we are losing one of the best in Manaphy, which very well may open the door for Hydreigon and other spread attacking decks to really run wild in the meta, unless they give us another bench protection Pokemon, or shoot, I guess people might actually start running Rabsca. As I mentioned before, we are losing multiple entire deck archetypes, and the biggest one that very well may have had the most impact on the meta throughout its lifetime that we're losing is Lost Box. Now, I would not be surprised if they ended up bringing the Lost Zone as a concept back pretty soon. However, we are losing Comfey, Sableye, Cramorant, Mirage Gate, Lost Vacuum, and Colress's Experiment with rotation. So Lost Box as it is right now will be completely dead. So in my opinion, those are the most important Pokemon that we are losing with rotation. However, we are also losing some incredibly strong trainers. These include recovery supporters like Roseanne's Backup, Silene, Team Yell's Cheer. We're losing draw support trainers like Trekking Shoes, Pokestop, and Worker, and also just some incredibly useful trainers like the Switch Cart, the Hisuian Heavy Ball, Collapse Stadium, Temple of Sinnoh, Dark Patch, Arita, Thornton, Energy Lotto, Lost Vacuum, Forest Sealstone, and potentially the one that I am most nervous about losing, Canceling Cologne. Now, Canceling Cologne has been a bit of a savior for decks that struggle against certain Pokemon's abilities. Think Iron Thorns, or Mimikyu, or Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which will now have to be teched specifically for, instead of being able to just toss a Canceling Cologne or two in there. But the card that I think that I will genuinely miss the most is Double Turbo Energies. I can hardly believe that I'll even be playing in a meta without a Double Turbo Energy, but it will happen unless Pokemon decides to reprint it or give us another energy that can serve two colorless. Now, as a diehard Cloth fanboy, that deck kind of relies very, very heavily on Double Turbo Energies, so I would suspect with rotation, Cloth as a concept will probably be completely killed off. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the Double Turbo is kind of too important for that deck, and when it goes away, I fear Cloth may be dead. Now, some of you may be wondering what is going to happen to cards like Ultra Ball, Rare Candy, Switch, Energy Retrieval, Energy Switch, Boss's Orders, and Professor's Research. And while versions of these cards will technically be rotated out, all of these cards were reprinted in a Scarlet and Violet set, so we do not have to worry about losing any of those cards just yet. Oddly enough, we will still have a choice belt in the meta, even though there will be 0 V Pokemon for that choice belt to be able to hit into. I found that absolutely hilarious. Alright, let's go over what this will do to the meta real quick. With no Pokemon V, I really think the decks like Melodic Wall and Pidgeot Control are poised to take a huge leap in effectiveness, especially because both decks were hampered by Canceling Cologne. With a bit of lack of bench protection, Regidrago would have actually wrecked this meta, but unfortunately it's getting rotated out too, so I figure people will turn to Hydreigon and any other spread deck that Pokemon releases in the future to try to capitalize on this lack of bench protection. I'm honestly realizing now that without Greninja or Regidrago, spread attackers are going to be just a bit of a rarity in Pokemon, but if I had to guess, they will give us more spread attackers. I could see more decks start to run Rabsca to protect from Dragapult and Hydreigon if they start getting a bit too powerful, although Rabsca it's such a bummer that it's a stage 1, because if it was a basic Pokemon, it would be an insta play in pretty much every single deck. For card draw, we could see Dracloak being used in more decks, Mew EX will remain a staple, the Dunsparce could see a lot more use, as well as Quaquaval potentially, although it is a stage 2, so I wouldn't count on Quaquaval reaching a ton of popularity. Other than that, once rotation does happen, we will have Budew in the meta, which may very well force more people to play Grand Tree, although that is pretty unrelated to rotation, I just wanted to mention it. So yeah, this coming April, there is going to be a huge shakeup in the Pokemon TCG, and I for one am very excited to see how people react and adapt to building decks without so many of these staples. Man, I am really gonna miss some of these cards. Regidrago, I love. Double Turbo Energy, I love. Like, the meta is going to be unrecognizable for a little bit. Let me know down in the comments the card that you are going to miss the most, and let me know if there are any cards that are rotating out that you think are useful but I didn't mention in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry I took a little break there, but I was tired and burnt out and I got sick, but I'm back. I will have more videos coming out soon, I promise. Let me know if there are any decks that you'd like to see some gameplay for, and I will see you guys next time. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. Consider dropping a little like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I'm out of here. We'll see you next time.